Namaste, Om Sai Ram. Today we will read the chapter 42 of Shri Satcharita, Baba's passing away. Previous indication: averting death of Ramchandra Dada Patil and Tatya Kote Patil. Charity to Lakshmi Bai Shinde, last moment. This chapter describes the passing away of Baba. Preliminary. The stories given in the previous chapter have shown that the light of Guru's grace removes fear of mundane existence, opens the path of salvation, and turns our misery into happiness. If we always remember the feet of the Sadguru, our troubles come to an end. Death loses its sting, and the misery of this mundane existence is obliterated. Therefore, those who care for their welfare should carefully listen to these stories of Sai Samarth, which will purify their minds. In the beginning, Himad Pant dwells on Dr. Pandit's worship and his marking Baba's forehead with tripunda, that is, 3 horizontal lines. But as this has been already described in chapter 11, it has been omitted here. Previous indication: the readers up till now heard the stories of Baba's life. Let them now hear attentively of Baba's passing away. Baba got a slight fever on 20th September 1918. The fever lasted for 2 or 3 days. But afterwards, Baba gave up his food and thereby grew weaker and weaker. On the 17th day, that is Tuesday, the 15th October 1918, Baba left his mortal coil at about 2:30 p.m. With Professor G.G. Narke's letter dated 5th November 1918 to Dada Saheb Khaparde, published in Sain Leela magazine, page 78, first year. 2 years before this, that is in 1916, Baba gave an indication of his passing away. But nobody understood it then. It was as follows. On the Vijayadashmi, Dashara day, Baba all of a sudden got into wild rage in the evening. When people were returning from Simolangan, crossing the border or limits of the village, Sima Alangan, taking off his headdress, kafni, langota, he tore them and threw them in the dhuni before him. On being fed this offering, the fire in the dhuni began to burn brighter, and Baba shone still brighter. He stood there stark naked, and with his burning red eyes shouted, "You fellows, now have a look and decide finally whether I am a Muslim or Hindu." Everybody was trembling with fear, and none dared to approach Baba. After some time, Bhagoji Shinde, the leper devotee of Baba, went boldly near him and succeeded in tying a langota round his waist and said, "Baba, what is all this? Today is the Sima Langhan, that is the Shera holiday." Baba, striking the ground with his satka, said, "This is my Sima Langhan." Baba did not cool down till 11 p.m. and the people doubted whether the Chavdi procession would ever take place that night. After an hour, Baba resumed his normal condition and, dressing himself as usual, attended the Chavdi procession as described before. By this incident, Baba gave us a suggestion that the Shera was the proper time for him to cross the border of life, but none understood its meaning then. Baba gave another indication also as follows. Averting death of Ramachandra and Tatya Patil. Sometime after this, Ramchandra Patil became seriously ill. He suffered a lot. He tried all remedies, but finding no relief, despaired of his life and was waiting for the last moment. Then one midnight, Baba suddenly stood near his bed. Patil held his feet and said, "I have lost all hopes of life. Please tell me definitely, when shall I die?" Merciful Baba said, "Don't be anxious. Your hundi has been withdrawn and you will soon recover. But I am afraid of Tatya Patil. He will pass away on Vijayadashmi of Shaka 1840, that is 1918-80. Do not divulge this to anybody, or not to him, for he will be terribly frightened. Ramachandra Dada got well, but he felt nervous about Tatya's life, for he knew that Baba's words were unalterable and that Tatya would breathe his last within 2 years. He kept the secret, told it to none, but to Balashimpi, a tailor only. Only these two persons, Ramachandra Dada and Balashimpi, were in fear and suspense regarding Tatya's life. Ramchandra Dada soon left his bed and was on his legs. Time passed quickly. The month of Bhadrapad of Shaka 1840 was ending and Ashwin was approaching. True to Baba's word, Tatya fell sick and was bedridden, and so he could not come for Baba's darshan. Baba was also down with fever. Tatya had full faith in Baba. Tatya's illness began to grow from bad to worse, and he could not move at all, but always remembered Baba. The predicament of Baba began to grow equally worse. The day predicted, that is Vijayadashmi, was impending, and both Ramachandra Dada and Balashimpi were terribly frightened about Tatya. Their bodies trembling, perspiring with fear, thought that, as predicted by Baba, Tatya's end was near. Vijayadashmi dawned and Tatya's pulse began to beat very slow, and he was expected to pass away shortly. But a curious thing happened. Tatya remained. His death was averted and Baba passed away instead. It seemed as if there was an exchange. People said that Baba gave up his life for Tatya. Why he did so, he alone knows, and his ways are inscrutable. It seems, however, that in this incident, Baba gave a hint of his passing away, substituting Tatya's name for his own. Next morning, that is 16th October, Baba appeared to Dasganu at Pandharpur in his dream and said to him, "The masjid collapsed. All the oilmen and grocers of Shri harassed me a lot, so I leave the place. I therefore came to inform you here. Go there quickly and cover me with bakal flowers." Das Ganu got the information also from Shirdi letters. So he came to Shirdi with his disciples and started bhajan and kirtan and sang the Lord's name. Throughout the day before Baba's Samadhi, himself weaving a beautiful garland of Lord Hari's name, he placed it on Baba's Samadhi and gave a mass feeding in Baba's name. Charity to Lakshmi Bai. Dasara or Vijayadashmi is regarded by all the Hindus as the most auspicious time, and it is befitting that Baba should choose this time for his crossing the borderline. He was availing some days before time, but he was ever conscious internally. Just before the last moment, he sat up without anybody's aid and looked better. People thought that the danger had passed off and he was getting well. He knew that he was to pass away soon, and therefore he wanted to give some money as charity to Lakshmi Bai Shinde, Baba pervading all creatures. This Lakshmi Bai Shinde was a good and well-to-do woman. She was serving in the masjid day and night, except Bhagat Malsapati, Tatya and Lakshmi Bai. None was allowed to step in the masjid at night. Once, while Baba was sitting in the masjid with Tatya in the evening, Lakshmi Bai came and saluted Baba. Baba said to her, "Oh Lakshmi, I am very hungry." Off she went saying, "Baba, wait a bit. I return immediately with bread." She did return with bread and vegetables and placed the same before Baba. He took it and gave it to a dog. Lakshmi Bai then asked, "Baba, what is this? I ran in haste, prepared bread with my own hands for you, and you threw it to a dog without eating a morsel of it? You gave me trouble unnecessarily." Baba replied, "Why do you grieve for nothing? The appeasement of the dog's hunger is the same as mine. The dog has a soul, the creatures may be different, but the hunger of all is the same. Though some speak and others are dumb, know for certain that He who feeds the hungry really serves me with food. Regard this as truth. This is an ordinary incident, but Baba thereby propounded a great spiritual truth and showed its practical application in daily life without hurting anybody's feelings. From this time onwards, Lakshmi Bai began to offer him daily bread, milk with love and devotion. Baba accepted and ate it appreciatingly. He took a part of this and sent the remainder through Lakshmi Bai to Radha Krishna Mai, who always relished and ate Baba's remnant prasad. This bread story should not be considered as a digression. It shows how Sai Baba pervaded all the creatures and transcended them. He is omnipresent, birthless, deathless, and immortal. Baba remembered Lakshmi Bai's service. How could he forget her? Just before leaving his body, he put his hand in his pocket and gave her rupees 5, rupees 4, and in all rupees 9. This figure is indicative of the 9 types of devotion described in chapter 21. Or it may be the dakshina offered at the time of Seema Ulanghan. Lakshmi Bai was a well-to-do woman, and so she was not in want of any money. Baba might have suggested her and brought to her notice the 9 characteristics of a good disciple mentioned in the 6th verse of chapter 10, Skanda 11 of the Bhagavad, wherein first 5 then 4 characteristics are mentioned in the first and second couplets. Baba's this gift of 9 she will remember ever. Being so watchful and conscious, he ordered them all to clear off. Kaka Sahib Dikshit, Babu Sahib Booty, others were in the masjid anxiously waiting upon Baba, but he asked them to go to the Wada and return after meals. They could not leave Baba's presence, nor could they disobey him. So with heavy hearts and heavy feet, they went to the Wada. They knew that Baba's condition was very serious and that they could not leave him. They sat for meals, but their mind was elsewhere. It was with Baba. Before they finished, news came to them of Baba shedding the mortal coil. Leaving their dishes, they ran to the masjid and found that Baba rested finally on Bayaji's lap. He did not collapse on the ground, nor did he lie on his bed, but sitting quietly on his seat and doing charity with his own hand, left the mortal coil. Saints embody themselves and come into this world with a definite mission, and after that is fulfilled, they pass away as quietly and easily as they came. Bow to Shri Sai, peace to be all. Om Sai Ram.